Okay, today I want to ask you some questions about family violence. Okay, so first of all, in Singapore, the court can give a PPO. It's a personal protection order, right? In some situations, and usually there's domestic violence or even amongst family members, there's people getting physical and all that lah. So I want to try to understand better about this thing they call a PPO. Under what situations would a court award a PPO to a person?
So the court must first be satisfied that there is family violence.
Okay.
That is the first step. Second
defined-
step, as defined in the Women's Charter.
Okay,
So, I mean, let's just mention ad verbatim what the Women's Charter says. Okay, you look at section 64. Family violence means willfully or knowingly placing or attempting to place a family member in fear of hurt.
In fear of hurt.
In fear of hurt. Causing hurt to a family member by such act which is known or ought to have been known would result in hurt. Wrongfully confining or restraining a family member.
Okay. So
Causing
like if
continual harassment, not just harassment, continual harassment with
okay.
intent to cause or knowing that it is likely to cause anguish. So, you see, it's not just harassment.
Okay.
It must
Is
be
there is
continual, there must be intent, or at least you must know that you must intend to cause, or you must know that this is likely going to cause anguish to the person. Just because there's harassment, if there's no anguish, or you know that it's not going to cause. Like I remember a case I did before where the husband kept sending the wife for 6 months, I love you, come back to me, I love you.
That was also harassment.
And then the wife said, this is...
come back to me, I love you. Okay.
She said, this is harassment.
Okay.
But the court obviously did not accept that lah. You know? So it's not so... You must look at that first, section 64 of the Women's Charter. And then you must fit the facts in.
So that one defines the 4 criteria that would qualify as harassment
Family
and
violence.
if anyone
Family violence. The
as
fourth
family,
is family violence.
as family violence, and is it as long as any one of these 4 is satisfied, the PPO is
You
granted?
don't need to satisfy each and every one.
As long as one of them lah.
Yes, one of them.
And then the PPO can be granted.
Yes.
Or is there any other?
So you satisfy that, and then you go to the next step.
Okay.
So if the first step cannot be satisfied, case is dismissed.
Oh, okay.
So the first step, if you already met the requirements, okay, the judge says, I find that family violence has been committed. Then we go to the next stage. Is it necessary for an order to be made?
Okay.
So during a trial, when we ask questions during the trial, we cannot just ask, did family violence occur?
Okay.
Kind of questions must also go towards helping us prove that it is also necessary for the court to make an order, because the court is not there to police the lives of people.
Okay. Okay.
Some people think that, sometimes PPO is abused
Okay.
because people start a divorce, they think, I can get one up over my spouse if I take out
I see.
a PPO.
Okay. Okay.
Like suddenly the PPO is wife and kids against the husband. Husband say, I've never hit them at all. So they think they can get advantage. I'm sure this happens. How high? I don't know. I don't know the statistics.
So there are people who like, okay, the divorce is going to happen, but let's just try for PPO because it might help us later on to win the divorce case in that sense.
Maybe if the PPO comes about, and that I successfully obtain a PPO on behalf of my spouse, or on behalf of the children against my spouse, then it will definitely 100% have an effect on access orders and custody care and control.
Okay.
So, we...
But in that case, the application for the PPO, it is to serve another purpose rather than for the purpose of protection.
Of course, that's why the courts have these processes in place so that they can weed out people who are trying to...
It's considered an abuse of court process.
In a way, it's an abuse lah. But there will definitely be people, because I have that's why there are lawyers, you see, to defend the client. The client say, look, I never do this. I don't agree with her version of what happened. I disagree with what she stated in her police report. So you engage lawyers, we go there, we grill her on the stand, and then after that, him or her can grill both people, not just her. You grill the person who make the complainant, for instance, and then try to prove to the court that your client is speaking the truth lah.
So there are such situations in divorce where people apply for PPO.
There are some lah. I won't say it's so rampant.
So
There are some definitely for sure.
So are there any situations where you, like as a lawyer, when you see the case, you feel that okay, this person needs the protection?
Of course.
A lot of cases.
100%. There are cases where the person needs the protection, and sometimes when I hear the story, I'll say, look lah, you're wasting your money and wasting your time.
Okay.
Because you have to pay the lawyer.
Yeah lah.
You win or lose, the lawyer gets the fees. We don't have no win, no fee in Singapore. You know? So, they need to go through the merits of the case. It's important. But at the same time, just because someone doesn't have any evidence, but the person never made police report, the person chose to be quiet, that doesn't mean you cannot go and take a PPO. A lot of people think, oh, if I don't have evidence, I cannot go. No. What you say in the affidavit is also evidence.
Okay.
Right? You are giving evidence. When you go up the stand and you give your testimony, that's also a form of evidence. The court will look at who is more believable, who is credible. You see, sometimes people can't speak on the stand.
So doesn't need to be like concrete proof. I mean, of course, concrete proof is good
the
lah.
more evidence you have, obviously, the better. But it doesn't mean if you don't have, you cannot go for it. Because you may have a witness who has witnessed it, for instance, and so on and so forth.
But there are things that are not so easy to prove. Like, for example, there are 4 criteria for family violence, right? So, okay, physical hurt, you might show some WhatsApp messages, threatening. But something like putting somebody in fear of hurt.
The fear of hurt,
Like-
WhatsApp message, you come back, you watch out tomorrow when you are when you go to
But
work.
that one, those kind of text messages, I would imagine, when you read that, you might feel fear. But how do you prove that the person actually felt the fear?
Yeah, so you
that's
have
the-
to go to court, you have to ask the question the person felt. I mean, you don't exactly have to show that I am really in fear, you know.
Okay.
Like I have to go and take a lie detector test or go to a psychologist and say the person is in fear. You threaten me, anybody will be in fear. What?
So it's
If,
reasonably
yeah, if you
assumed.
threaten me, you watch what I do. I'm waiting with you with
that means-
a hockey stick. Anybody will be scared, what? Even if you are a very muscular person also, you're going to be scared if somebody is going to take a hockey stick and just hit your head, you know, when you are not aware. So you don't have to go and get a report from a psychiatrist to say
I see.
he is in fear. There is
I see,
no
I
need to. You just need to show from a reasonable point of view, from a reasonable man would actually be scared of this. Or if somebody keep messaging, tomorrow you walk out of the house, I will spray water gun at you. Then it sounds like a joke. It sounds like a joke, you see. So
it's whatever that is reasonably expected.
yeah, we must
to
look
put
at
fear.
reasonableness. We must look at the context, what was said. I had a case recently also where certain hurtful words were said, and then my client admitted, yeah, he said those hurtful words, but we said, you know, these hurtful words don't constitute family violence, even though it seemed like a threat, but it wasn't. So when I grilled the complainant and I asked the complainant, if you truly, and because this was a case where the father was coming to the house to try and see the child, and then the client got into altercation with another family member, and the family member said certain hurtful things, which was what the judge found, so could have been hurtful. But then after those statements were made, he left. He came back a while back to the house. So that in a way showed that there is actually no fear.
Okay.
So that goes towards the second point. Even if the court had said that what my client said was family violence, the court may have said, but you're not in fear, what? So they ask questions like, okay, if you are in fear, do you continue to live in the same room, on the same bed? Or when you ran in the room, do you lock the door? Or do you not? All these questions are very important. So it's a very heavy factual exercise. So I would always tell people, only if you are really in fear,
if you're genuinely in fear, afraid something, okay.
then go and take it. Don't just take it for the sake of it.
Okay. So I think, so that's the other one. That one is the one that you said about, the third one, which is about confining somebody. That one, are there a lot of cases where...
Not so
Not
many,
so, in
but I
Singapore,
have seen two at least.
And I guess this doesn't apply to like kids. Like, you know, I'm an 18-year-old girl. I want to go out with my friends. My father say, stay at home. And then...
No, confining and restraining someone is different. Locking someone up in the room to say that you cannot go, you are grounded is different.
But locking her in a house is not.
You don't lock a person in the house. You
No, there's
cannot.
some
You
fathers
can tell the person, I don't agree.
Okay.
You cannot lock the person in the house. You lock the person, now you have restrained the person already. Disciplining and restraining, two different. Saying that,
Okay.
I don't agree that you cannot go for this party, for example. It's very different from saying, okay, you stay in the house, now I lock the door from outside and I go out.
I mean, let's say one situation, the father has to go to work. Nobody else is at home, but he doesn't want his daughter to go out. So he locks the door because he knows she's going to go out if he doesn't lock the door.
And
So
the daughter is all alone at home.
Daughter is 18-year-old all alone at home. How?
That but if there's a fire in the house, how? I mean, like I said right at the start, there is not black or white situation. Like, okay, if this happened, how? If that happened, how? You know, people always think like, oh, just one factor is more than enough. Sometimes I have to prove that it's a scuffle. Sometimes it's a scuffle. You know, like there was a PPO when we showed a video of the husband. The wife took out the PPO against the husband.
Okay.
And then in the video, the husband was carrying the child. She went and tried to pull the child away. So there was a scuffle between them. Is that family violence? Where one person tried to take something, or give back my handphone, I'm not giving you back. You know, this kind of childish things. And then they start pulling and then start pushing. Then is that family violence? So that's for the judge to decide. We must show that there is not violence. I did not attempt to place this person in hurt. I did not know that it would make the person be in fear, nor did I attempt to hurt the person. I was just trying to protect my phone, but let's say my spouse insisted on seeing my phone because she suspects something. In that process, she was there were tugging and all that, and I let go and she fell. Does that mean I pushed her down? No. So it's a very fact-centric exercise. We need to sit down. We need to see. There's no one answer. Oh, yesterday my husband shouted and said, use vulgarities on me. So as the wife, can I go and take out a PPO immediately based on one incident? Doesn't seem to make that much sense. Because you shout, if on the basis of raising voice and vulgarity, every spouse going to have PPO against them, you see.
So that one is the first requirement, establishing that family violence has been committed. And there's the second limb, which is about
necessity,
right? So like what I think, for example, let's say it's a one-off incident and like 1 year has passed. Then the court might rule this.
The court might rule it's not necessary to make a PPO order even if family violence was found. But like I said again, if the incident was so serious, involved fractures, it involved children witnessing a very bad episode of violence, then the court will.
Even if it happened like long time ago, they might consider.
Long time ago, 20 years ago, maybe not lah. But 1 year ago, maybe. That's why I said it's not. It's very fact-centric. Present your case. So when we go to court, what we do? We get the necessary information from the affidavit, from the testimony after cross-examination. Then we look through the cases, look at the law, try to see which case support our facts, and argue and ask the judge to make a decision. That's how we do. It's a process.
So it means that they decide the basis of necessity, whether you need a PPO or not, on this kind of several factors. I think there are some guidelines as to what.
There are cases and all that, quite a number of cases.
And it's on the balance of probabilities,
Yeah.
right? In other words, you don't have to be 100% necessity.
Yeah,
it's more likely than not, right? Yeah. Okay, I see. So let's say the PPO has been granted. So let's say a wife has been abused by the husband, got bruises, family violence has been committed, and she needs the PPO. But let's say this woman doesn't want to divorce her husband, but she just wants to feel safe so she wants the PPO. So she applies, she gets this PPO, and they still stay in the same house. That's still okay, right?
Yeah, there is so like I said, PPO does not mean the husband has to leave the house.
Okay.
That is domestic exclusion order. It's different.
Okay.
So a domestic exclusion order you can take after you have a PPO. Then you have to ask the person to leave the house. But the court may not. Court will look at the facts of the case and may not ask the person to leave the house. The court may say, I don't allow you to enter certain parts of the house. So this kind of orders I've also seen. So it's not.
So what's the advantage of a PPO? What is the?
No, the advantage of the PPO is not so much of. I wouldn't classify it as an advantage, but the purpose of a PPO is simply to protect yourself.
Okay.
Because if you breach a PPO, there will be criminal sanctions against you. charges. I know of cases where people have gone to jail for breaching PPO.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very serious. So initially, the domestic violence, you go to family court, you get a PPO. No criminal record whatsoever
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Then when you go to, what you call it? You breach it. Police investigate. Police finds that there is a breach of the PPO. You can go to jail lah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Fine or jail lah.
So in
depending
a way,
on the severity.
Okay, PPO is only for family,
Yeah.
or can be anybody.
No, PPO is for family. Again, this is also mentioned in the Women's Charter. So you look at the section 64 again: spouse, former spouse, child of the person, adopted child, stepchild,
I see,
father,
I see.
mother, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother,
Oh, so it's
sister,
quite immediate family lah. in that
relative.
sense, Oh, relative ada?
Relative pun ada, any other relative of the person. If you are not a family member, you go under POHA. That's a different topic for a different day lah.
Or even
Prevention of harassment.
penal code lah. Like if I go to
Yeah, that
if I
one
punch
intentional harassment. You go to the police. Police may ask you to go and file magistrate complaint. Yeah, so that's different.
someone. But physical violence is straight away police case lah. Like go and
Police case does not mean police will not tell you go to the, just because someone slapped someone, police may decide not to charge the person or arrest the person or whatsoever. You must see whether seizable offence, non-seizable offence, all that stuff lah. So I mean, I've seen situations where people get slapped or pushed or something, and then they see it's intentional harassment. Police will give you a form and tell you go to and file a magistrate's complaint lah.
I see. Okay, the means in other words, the PPO is like a layer of protection for family members. So even if let's say there's a lot of physical abuse and all that, he will not go to jail lah, right?
Yep.
But he has the spouse or the husband has a right to apply for a PPO.
Yep.
But only when he breaks this first layer, the PPO, and then he can go to jail.
Yep.
Correct. Okay. But it doesn't say anything about you have to stay away from me and so on, right? Because I think
No,
some
because
people have this kind of
it's a bit difficult, because you see, just because you have a PPO doesn't mean the father cannot continue with his life in the house. You see, how do you stay away?
No,
How do you
maybe-
How do
okay.
you stay away from somebody or put a magical boundary around yourself? You see, it's a bit difficult. Like sometimes people take out access case, for
Okay.
example, right? Access to see the kids, and then I remember this case about 10 years ago, probably when one of my earliest cases I did. Probably I was still a trainee then, and the lawyer took out. But the lawyer I was assisting took out, went to defend someone in a access matter.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, they were all living in the same house.
Okay.
So if you live in the same house and you take out access, you're going to say, Monday to Wednesday or Monday to Thursday, wife take care of the children. Friday to Sunday, the husband take care. So the lawyer asked a very interesting question to the other side and also to the judge. So what should I do on the other days when my children come to me? Am I supposed to blindfold myself, or am I supposed to say, look, you cannot talk to me now? It's access. So we cannot make the court orders become something that is going to turn us into robots.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Yeah, the PPO order doesn't mean you cannot see the child.
Yeah lah.
So if there is a PPO order and PPO lah, personal protection order, right? Not PPO order. If you have a PPO now and then you want to come and see, you moved out.
Okay.
You want to come and see your children. Wife open the gate. You are at the gate. She's at the gate. But you breach the PPO. Cannot be.
Cannot be lah, yeah lah.
So we have to understand there is reasonableness and all that stuff over
So
there.
the document itself, the way it's phrased, doesn't mention anything about you must stay away and all that, right? It's just saying that if this is committed again, then more serious
Yeah.
action is going to be taken against you. Okay, so that's the idea of having a layer of protection. Okay, but then so let's say a woman is in danger of being physically abused, and then she applies for PPO, but the entire process will involve the court, and it will take months. So
During that period, if the allegations made is serious enough, the court will grant an expedited order, which
Okay.
will have to be renewed as the case goes on.
Oh, I see. So
And
that means
EO. And EO is simply layman's term temporary order, temporary PPO to protect the woman.
I see.
If you breach the EO, so you can have criminal sanctions.
So for getting the EO, you don't need any evidence or what lah, right?
You when you go and make the application, a judge will look at it and the judge will decide whether is this case worthy of an EO or not lah. Not everybody will have an EO. You see, the courts have certain processes in place lah.
But it won't be a very thorough analysis of the evidence.
No, not like a trial. It's not a trial. Yeah.
That means is this a judge is going to decide? Okay, you claim that you've been beaten up, so
they will look at it. What is the situation? What are the facts and all that, and on a preliminary basis decide first, because this is a temporary protection.
I see.
Temporary. Yeah.
Okay, so the PPO, in terms of how it affects the divorce proceedings, for example, like let's say a husband claims that he's being beaten up by his wife, so he applies for PPO and he gets it.
Okay.
Is there any bearing on the outcome of the divorce other than custody issues?
No, in relation to the children, no. Apart from the children, no.
No, not at all.
Not
so
really.
It won't
Not
say
really.
like, for example, okay, this man has been responsible, provided for the family, but then his wife beats him up and all that. He doesn't want a divorce, but she's always.
Are you trying to say he shouldn't pay her muta and all that?
No.
Is it?
That's what I'm asking. Is that so? There's no bearing at all. So I think
Okay,
many
the
men will
word "at all" again is very absolute. Okay, sometimes, okay, let's say it's a house, it's a 10-year marriage, there are 2 children, and the wife, and let's say wife is the primary caregiver, okay? And husband beat up the wife, for instance. And then she comes to court, say for the last 10 years I've been suffering abuse at the hands of this man, I have to take care of the children, I have to suffer the abuse, I have to go to court. Instead of maybe giving the wife, usually she might get 65% or something or 70%. Court may give her a bit more, 5-10%. Nothing stopping the court from doing so.
That means there could be some bearing.
There could be maybe out of ihsan, the judge sees. I'm talking about referring to Sharia court, right? Out of ihsan, but there's nothing in the cases to suggest that a victim of domestic abuse would get a higher share of the matrimonial assets. No. But if I use the broad brush approach, I look at everything, I look at sacrifice, and I want to give something higher, then maybe can be possible. But there's nothing to state that if check a box. Like divorce is not a process where you check boxes. You see, that's not how it works.
Okay, I see. So there could be some bearing if taken holistically in that sense.
Yes, taken holistically. Yes.
Okay, but not particularly. Okay, this happened means you are compromised in terms of what you receive.
Correct.
I see. Because I'm thinking there are some situations like a lot of men who. Sometimes I also receive like DMs about people asking what things about.
Then you're not doing law SUSS. Are you receiving legal inquiries like that on your Instagram?
That's one. The man approached me one day. Then I think a few months later, the wife actually texted me and said, "I got your number from somebody." And then I said, "Hey, you couldn't expose to each other."
So you open family mediation center or something lah.
No, but I think there's some men who like when they complain, they feel like they've been doing their job and all that. And they feel macam quite hard done by that, they are physically abused at home, and then on top of that they even though despite all the efforts they have to be so-called according to them punished in this way.
No, your point is actually very similar to a case I did many years back where the opposing party, who was the wife, tried to appear very demure in court and very quiet and so on and so forth, and then painting him as the abuser and all that, you see. So we played a video in court.
Oh, is it?
Where she was the one shouting and screaming, and then I just said, before I end, I just want to play this video. I asked a few questions. Okay. So I played the video. I said, who is the one shouting in the video? Who is the one who is seemingly the aggressor in the video? So sometimes unnecessary, even though if you you look at family law in general, there is this push by the courts to have to approach the divorce in a therapeutic manner, therapeutic justice. I'm sure you've heard of it. Correct. They keep talking about it, TJ. This is very good because at the end of the day, we don't want so much of acrimony, but sometimes you just cannot avoid it. You can be a therapeutic person, but if I am not a therapeutic person and I keep installing CCTVs all over the house and you think this is bloody Pyongyang, and then what are you going to do? How therapeutic can you be? You just keep quiet, never do whatever you want. I just sabar. I have some husbands, I know some husbands, they think that by agreeing to what the wife asks, the acrimony will go away.
What doesn't happen lah.
So they go and agree to the PPO. Then they agree to the DEO. After they ask me what I agree, I say, who asked you to sign this? Who asked you to consent at court? Not sign, but who asked you to consent?
But there are number of situations where the husband, okay, never mind lah, I'll just give you the PPO.
I just give you all maintenance. You asking how much? Husband salary 2,005. They agree $2,000 to give for child maintenance by consent. So if it's by consent, the judge not going to ask you for your pay slips and all that. So they must realize that by agreeing, they're going to get themselves into much deeper problem.
I see. So I think it's important lah that people know more.
End of the day, approach the expert, read up, do some basic research on the internet. There are so many websites offering advice, YouTube and all that. If I also have a video on domestic violence, right, on my YouTube channel. So watch it. Even on my TikTok channel, I also share 1 minute, because sometimes people have no focus to go beyond 1 minute. So we do 50-second, 1 minute video. Share with people about what is PPO, how they can defend themselves and so on and so forth. Simply put, my concluding words would be, before you agree to anything or disagree to anything, go and find out the repercussions. Go and sit down and have a discussion first.
Find out the repercussions and what
plan
to do
out,
and so on.
plan out, strategize. Because divorce is not just about filling in the forms. Whether it's divorce, whether it's PPO, whether it's a commercial case, whether it's a criminal, it's not about filling up forms or completing the process. It's about achieving an objective. If I sue you for not returning me money, I don't just want a paper order. Because if I get the order, it's just a paper order. Kasim is supposed to pay Rizwan, let's say $5,000. But this paper order is not going to have any impact if you don't pay and if I don't enforce. I must then go and enforce. Go and freeze your bank account or do
something lah.
Do something to take your things and go and lelong and all that stuff. So we need to meet an objective. A lot of times I realize, not just for divorce, for PPO, for maintenance, people call and people say, oh, I want to take out maintenance. Like let's say for example, I want to take out maintenance against my husband, right? And then I say, okay, how much is the expenses of? I say I want more money from him. I want $900 every month. My husband only giving me $700. I say, how much is the total expenses of the child? Total expenses about $900.
Must break down lah.
I say, court is not going to ask him to pay 100%. You are working, he's working, salary about the same. Court may order, if the total expenses 700, court may order 350 or 400, 300. Then you are worse off. Why are you wasting your money? So sometimes I have to tell, like, so lawyers are not crooks, where we just tell people, okay, take the case, you have a case, let's go and fight. We have a duty. We'll get scolded also by the judge. What kind of case is this? What are you doing? You didn't know? Even we cannot just say, Your Honor, our client instructed us. Some people like to use this, oh, I'm instructed. But no, you are not a remote control.
You're supposed to give your advice.
You know how I'm very upfront with my clients. I tell them I disagree with you. Stop trying to be clever by half and all that. You see, I do that all the time because end of the day, we are trying to help them.
Yeah, correct.
So I'm not there to please them. I'm not there to hear the whole story or philosophy or have a debate with the client. My job is to provide them with a solution. And I hear their point of view, they hear my point of view. We work together, we cooperate, and whenever I realize clients cooperate with the lawyer, discuss together in a respectful manner, generally the results are always quite good. I have always seen that when the client is not
upfront.
We don't want a client to be so no, I want to do it this way. I spoke to my sister. My sister said let's do it this way. I'm saying then you ask your sister to represent you lah. You need to understand that the law doesn't work according to your idea. You must understand what is the process, how it's done, and so on and so forth. Okay.
It is important lah. People inform themselves of such things and find out what are the.
InsyaAllah, hopefully benefits lah.
Hopefully lah, insyaAllah. Okay lah, next time. Bye bye. See you.